What could a baby hippo and a 130-year-old tortoise possibly have in common? Not much, you'd think. But today, we're diving into the amazing story of an unlikely pair brought together by chance. What happens when a baby hippo ends up in the same enclosure as an old tortoise? Where does life take them from there? Let's find out. Natural disasters are heartbreaking. People lose their homes, their loved ones, and everything they've worked for. But it's easy to forget that animals suffer too. That's exactly what happened when one young hippo lost his whole family. A powerful tsunami that hit Indonesia also reached other parts of the world, including the coast of Kenya. While people in Kenya stayed mostly safe, wildlife in the area wasn't so lucky. The ocean became violent and unpredictable. A hippo family got swept out to sea by the raging waters of the Sabaki River. Hippos aren't meant for those conditions. Tragically, none of them made it back, except for one. A 1-year-old hippo somehow survived. He was found stranded on a reef, weak and alone. Locals were desperate to help the baby hippo, but it was easier said than done. He was scared and tired, but still a hippo, big, fast, and strong. People tried again and again to catch him, but he kept slipping away. Their intentions were good, but the growing crowd only made things worse. You could see how scared he was. His family was gone, and now strangers were closing in. He had no idea they were trying to save him. The experience clearly shook him, but rescuers didn't give up. They knew he wouldn't survive on his own. Eventually, one man stepped up and took on the challenge. He used to be a rugby player and understood how to handle something larger than himself. He carefully approached, and at just the right moment, he lunged forward and tackled the hippo in the shallow surf. With help from others, they finally secured him. Everyone cheered. The rescue had worked. And to honor the man who caught him, they named the little hippo Owen. Finally, Owen was safe. He was on his way to a wildlife sanctuary where he could get the care he needed. But even though his life had been saved, Owen was still a sad little hippo. Normally, a young hippo stays with its mom for up to 4 years. Owen was only 1 year old when he lost his family. What he really needed was the comfort of a mother, but first he had to be fed and checked by a vet. The sanctuary in Mombasa welcomed him in and made sure he was well taken care of. They placed him in a smaller enclosure to help him feel secure without getting overwhelmed. But there was one detail that no one could have planned for. He wasn't alone. Sharing the space with him was a 130-year-old tortoise named Mzee. His name meant old man in Swahili, and true to his name, Mzee didn't seem fazed by the new guest in his space. But Owen sure noticed him. Nobody expected what would happen next. As soon as Owen saw the big, slow-moving tortoise, something clicked. Maybe it was the rounded shape or the gray color, but to Owen, Mzee must have looked a little like another hippo, maybe even like a grown-up one. Right away, Owen walked over and tucked himself behind Mzee, using him as a shield from the people around. To him, Mzee felt like a safe place. In the wild, baby hippos hide behind their moms when they're scared, and Owen was definitely still shaken. After everything he'd been through, the water, the rescue, the noise, he didn't feel safe at all, and no one could blame him. He had lost everything. Believing Mzee was some sort of adult hippo, Owen treated him like a stand-in mom, sticking close to him any chance he got. Mzee didn't seem thrilled about it. He wasn't used to having a giant baby follow him around. Tortoises are usually loners, and Mzee had spent over 100 years living just fine on his own. He clearly wasn't looking to become a parent. But Owen didn't give up. If there was one thing the little hippo had, it was determination. He followed Mzee everywhere. Owen would nap against the tortoise and even started licking him, like he would with a mother. And even though Mzee tried to ignore it at first, the two shared a love for the pool in their enclosure. Owen splashed and swam like any young hippo would, and to everyone's surprise, Mzee started joining in. Slowly, the old tortoise began to warm up to his unlikely companion. Before long, it became clear that they had bonded. Somehow, this unusual pair had become family. Visitors came from far and wide just to see the young hippo and the ancient tortoise side by side. It was truly something you didn't see every day. Whenever too many people gathered around, Owen would retreat to his usual hiding spot, right behind Mzee. Their connection touched people everywhere, especially a father-daughter duo named Craig and Isabella Hatkoff. They were so moved by the story of these cross-species friends that they wrote 2 children's books about them, one about how they met and another about their special bond. For a long time, Owen and Mzee were inseparable. Even though they were nothing alike on the outside, they learned how to be close and even came up with their own way of communicating. Owen and Mzee had their own quirky way of bonding. They'd nudge each other, make odd little sounds, and spend hours just hanging out. It was super sweet and honestly kind of adorable. But as time went on, all that bumping and playful shoving started to become a bit of a concern. Male hippos can grow to nearly 10,000 pounds, and while Mzee was a giant tortoise, he still wasn't built to handle roughhousing with a growing hippo. Owen was getting bigger by the day, and the strange part was, he didn't seem to realize he was a hippo. He started copying Mzee's habits, even trying to eat like a tortoise. He was forgetting how to be a hippo. The sanctuary team realized they had to step in. They needed to protect Mzee and at the same time help Owen reconnect with his true nature. It wasn't an easy choice, but it had to be done. The staff began searching for a more suitable friend for Owen, someone of his own kind. That's when they found Cleo, a 17-year-old female hippo. To ease Owen into it, they started slowly. First, the two met through a fence so they could see and sniff each other without stress. Since Owen hadn't been around another hippo in a long time, they didn't want to rush things. When it looked like the two were getting along, the fence came down just for short, supervised visits. Bit by bit, those visits got longer. Before long, they were even having overnight stays. And finally, the team felt it was time. Owen and Cleo moved in together full time. Pretty cute, right? But that wasn't the end for Owen and Mzee. The sanctuary placed the hippos in a home right next to Mzee's enclosure. That way, Owen could still see his old friend through the fence, but everyone stayed safe. It was the best of both worlds. They might not have stayed side by side forever, but Mzee had been there when Owen needed someone the most. At his lowest moment, scared, alone, and lost, Owen found comfort in the last place anyone expected. And Mzee, the old tortoise who preferred a quiet life, stepped into a role no one asked him to play. But he did it anyway. 2 animals, different species, more than a century apart in age. Yet they found something real, a friendship that defied logic and touched hearts around the world. Have you ever heard of a more unlikely family than Owen and Mzee? Do you think animals can feel love and friendship? Tell us what you think in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories that remind us just how amazing the animal world can be. See you next time.